Alien Romulus feels like the kind of legacy sequel that we should be getting more and more often of. A new story that just happens to take place in the same universe. Does it rely on the other Alien films? A little bit, slightly. But here's a little fun fact for you. I've only seen 2 Alien films. This one and Prometheus. So there was no nostalgia it could lean on for me. So believe me when I say that even without the nostalgia, this is a damn good movie. And from the beginning, you can tell we're in for a treat because it has a real great throwback look. The effects, and I mean this in a positive way, feel like they're from the late 70s, early 80s. In a good way. The old monitors, the old computers, some of the special effects look like they're legitimately in space. At least, again, within the time capsule of the first few films. And again, we're only 2 minutes in. The sweaty hands of capitalism and the dystopia are all over the plot as Rain, who has served her time to a big evil corporation like Wayland, has her service hours extended to keep her as a slave, a dedicated worker. Rain goes to speak to her ex-boyfriend and the plan is hatched. To escape, they'll go to a destroyed and decommissioned ship, take their cryo chambers, and escape to a new planet. It's a desperate move, yes, but desperation pushes people to do things that are unwise. Man, unchecked capitalism sucks, doesn't it? I'm just saying. To pull off the mission, they'll need one particular person, not Rain, but her adopted brother, Andy. As an android, cyborg, synth person, he can communicate with the ship and allow them to get on board without issues. Rain is hesitant to follow the plan, but with no other options, they're off. I can't hark on this enough. I love the visuals and the feeling of the older effects. It looks awesome, especially during the pod retrieval scenes. It feels like a proper throwback to the Alien franchise. We also get an interesting question posed at one point about a synth drone making a choice to sacrifice a few miners to save several dozen. It's a classic trolley problem. And also, I get it, but Bjorn, you're grieving, but you don't get to be an asshole to everyone. And it's on the ship that Andy is told that he can't come with them. That if they bring him along, they'll most likely be caught and imprisoned. And to my shock, Rain doesn't tell Andy that they'll have to decommission him. She doesn't have the heart to tell him, and that's tough and complex. It also kind of bugs me when the crew keeps saying he's not a real person. It reminds me when people say, oh, they're just dogs. Legally, on one hand, they're just dogs. But also, I would let swarms of people die and lay waste to nations if it meant that my puppies were okay. Just because you don't understand the relationships does not mean you get to downplay it. Maybe that's just me. Along the way, the trio of Bjorn, Andy, and Tyler, which is the ex-boyfriend, awaken a hibernating facehugger, and we are off to the races. I've seen some people online say that the first 45 minutes of this movie were boring and a waste because we don't get to see any alien action, any xenomorphs immediately. That because of this, somehow the movie fails. But I would completely disagree. We all know what the xenomorphs look like and how terrifying they are. And instead of just showing us them killing a bunch of characters that we don't care about, director Fede Alvarez eases us into the story by giving us a chance to develop the relationships with these characters. In particular, again, Andy and Rain. Now let's talk about Andy for a second. He's an older model android that's slowly malfunctioning. He also feels innocent and sweet. So when he's attacked or mistreated or set to be thrown away, we feel pain for him. We feel protective of him. And in a unique thing you can only do in a movie like this, he's reprogrammed and reset to be a problem for the characters. Yes, he's upgraded and he's more agile, but also his primary objective has changed. He now has the company's best interests above that of the protagonist, even if that means risking human lives for the sake of the mission. Much in the same way that greedy and corrupt capitalist companies weigh the pros and cons of human suffering versus the bottom dollar. I'm looking at you, Big Pharma, and Amazon, and Monsanto, and Nestle, and
one eternity later,
and anyone else on the S&P 500. The facehuggers have been released, the aliens and xenomorphs are out and about, and the hunt is underway as this crew of this space, I want to say pirates, are slowly picked off one by one. And at this point, I would like to praise the story for its simplicity. Escape. The world is not on the line, nor is the fate of humanity. It's a few small lives, and what are they willing to do to survive? Chema messaged me and said, and I quote, "This is cinema." And I can't agree more. This movie feels grand, maybe not in scope, but in story of survival and heartbreak. They break a lot of the boundaries in this one. Even a woman that is pregnant isn't immune to when we have some serious body horror that is honestly some of the most disturbing things I've ever seen, maybe since the original Xenomorph reveal. I won't spoil it, but I will say this. That son of a bitch is haunting in its look and how it moves. Rain is able to go full Ripley and win. Hopefully they don't kill her off screen like, Dr. Shaw. I also want to mention that I really appreciate that this film does not live or die off nostalgia. It just feels like it's in a time capsule, but it's not defined by its previous legacy, by its previous sequels. It's 2024 and we have sequels to Twisters, Planet of the Apes, Ghostbusters, and Aliens, and Mad Max. I don't know when we're going to get more original properties, but I do know I enjoyed this film way more than Twisters. This Alien film feels like a return to form for a franchise that has almost had as many stop-starts as the X-Men franchise. With a hopeful new beginning to the Alien franchise, let's see how this film plays out. Let's see how this new series plays out. For me, it's going to be an 8.5 out of 10. But what did you think? Let us know down below what has been your favorite Alien moment from the entire franchise. Let us know down below, we'd really appreciate it. And we'll catch you all next time. We'll see everybody.